Hello, crafty peeps. So for the base pages of our Jolly Christmas, well, our authentic Jolly Christmas album, you're going to need 5 sheets of cardstock, and this is the Barn Red cardstock from Country Craft Creations. I cut it at 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. So you're going to need 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then you're going to need 5 sheets of paper, same cardstock. Okay, your solid colored cardstock, cut at 6 1/4 by 9 1/4. Okay. You're going to score at a 1/2 inch and 8 3/4. Okay, so this is going to form your base pages. Let me just make sure this one is right. So yes, a 1/2 inch, and then at 8 3/4, and then that's my 1/2 inch on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to come back and, well, actually, we're going to go ahead and start our main our first and second page, which is going to be pretty simple, and I hope you all like it. So we're going to start off with a sheet of paper. Oops. So you have your main page, your base page, but we're not going to glue it together yet because you're going to see why in just a moment. Okay, so you're going to need 1 sheet of paper at 5 inches by 9 1/4, again scored at 8 1/2 and 8 3/4. Then what I did was I folded mine in half, okay, and this is going to be covered up with paper, so it's not really going to matter, to find my center. Okay, and the center is, well, let me just put this out here, should be 4 3/4. Yep, that's about as close as we can get. Then I use the Spellbinders Nestabilities. This is the S as in Sam 4-114. S as in Sam S as in Sam 4-114. Then I went ahead and I centered this, so that it would be there at the 4 3/4. And then I made a little mark and a mark, and then I used the cheapest washi tape. And I basically ran it through twice to do each side, since I don't have 2 sets of these, which totally makes sense. And then I come out with my sort of like a beginning of a bow tie here design. Okay, this is going to be a belly band. Then we will take this belly band and we're going to attach it. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil marks. Okay. And I'm going to get my, well, actually, I'm not going to attach this yet. Why? Because I want to make sure that this is perfect. Okay. So now that my cardstock, this doesn't look like the right size. Let me measure this one. That's right. I don't know where that one came from. Anyway, 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. So now I know that if it's 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, I need to go ahead and mat it. And I'm going to mat it at 6 1/8 by 8 1/8. Let me go ahead and mat that, and I will be right back. Okay, so for my next piece of paper, my pattern paper, okay, I'm just using the opposite side so I'm not wasting any cardstock. I'm going to measure it at 8 1/8 by 4 7/8, okay? And then this is kind of how I'm going to do this little trick. So I'm going to center it on here, okay, right about where I think it should be, okay, because we want to have a nice little border here. So that's how it would look on the outside, right? Then I'm going to hold it tight and flip it over. And then I'm going to use a really thin pencil and trace those lines. And then we know that I used the second to the largest die. Now I'm going to need the largest die. Again, I'm going to need some of my cheap washi. And I'm just going to go right outside my line. Now I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this. I'm going to move this up, scoot it up a little bit, and hopefully this is showing. So here's my drawing of the line, and then I'm going about 1/8 of an inch right outside of there. I'm going to get my cheap washi, and of course I'm going to have to do this twice because, you know, it wouldn't work if I didn't. I want to make sure it's right, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so a couple of tricks. If it looks weird one way, then try switching it the other way and see if that works. Or flipping it, you know, on the opposite side. But then, of course, your pattern would match, and you don't want that. But anyway, so let me go ahead and give you the measurement right here. You're going to need to do it at, this is where you're going to glue it down, is at 3/8 of an inch. I'm sorry, no, 5/8. Okay, so right here I can see my little 5/8, and I'm going to go ahead and hold it in place. So it should be, well, actually I'm going to scoot it over so that it is right on that line. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over. Burnish that in. And then I'm going to come around and do my opposite side. And you know what? I screwed up. So I'm going to have to do this one on top. I forgot about that. Normally, I do it on, like, how would you say, like this, okay? But that's going to be bowing. And I purposely meant to put it on top, and I forgot. So if you've already done it, just do like I'm doing right here and go ahead and place this piece on top. I mean, it's going to be fine no matter what. Let me wipe off that excess glue there. Okay. So now you see it's at the same measurement, so that's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and glue on here. Oops. Well, I'm being messy with my glue today, let me tell you. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's lined up properly. And then burnish that in, okay? Pull it back so I don't get glue on my scoreboard. You might want to go underneath a little bit to make sure that it's not sticking on both sides. And it's looking really cute so far. So now at this point, I can go ahead and put the back of my base on. Okay, so now I can go ahead and apply my glue. Or if you're using score tape, that's up to you. And I'm going to apply that on there. Just going to make sure it's lined up there. Sometimes I like scored tape for this, but we're going to go ahead and keep using our art glitter glue because we can. And again, I'm just going to make sure that it's not sticking because, you know, our glitter glue will do that if it seeps out too much. So now my base page should look like this. And we're going to start working on page 2. So let me put this out of my way real quick so I don't lose these, because I lost my, I had some that were the stitch die and I lost them. So anyway, so now you're going to need to make 2 little 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, what I call windows, okay? Now, you're going to need 2 sheets of solid colored cardstock at 11 inches by 5 1/4, okay? Then on your 11-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5 3/4. Then again, now we're going to be able to fold this over and glue it down, okay? Again, I'm just going to burnish that in there and make sure it's sealed. But before you do that, you're going to want to make your window, which I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. All I did was get out a circle die, which I used my second size in, the same as I did on the opposite thing, because you want to have a larger circle so that you can see the red coming through the pattern. Okay? Now, I cut these at the same time so they looked identical. I just stacked it on top of each other and ran it through my cutter a couple of times until both of these circles were cut out. Now we're going to go ahead and, in the meantime, while you're cutting out those circles, I'm going to cut some squares that are going to be 5 1/8 by 5 1/8 of my pattern cardstock. And I'm going to use a different pattern, and I'm thinking about using my Christmas trees. Okay. So we said 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. And then since I need 2, I'm going to flip this over, and now I can go ahead and cut it off. Okay, so now I have my 2 squares, and I'm going to do alternating patterns. So I'm going to flip it like this. Well, I'm going to hold this in place. So now this is what I'm going to do. Again, we have that same thing where I need to know, where does my circle belong? Okay, so again, I'm going to hold it in place. Or you could use some cheap washi tape, whatever you want to do. I kind of hold mine pretty good, so I'm okay with it. I'm going to draw my circle on here. Okay. And then I can get out my large circle die. And hopefully this is still on. Sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and center that the same as what I did before. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and I'll be right back. I'm going to also add some of this plastic acrylic that's see-through that Tamara sells in her store. In this also before I seal it. I should have done on the other one, but I can go ahead and slide it under there Um, or if you want to do it on top and then put this over it, you could do that as well. Either way works just fine. And then I'm just going to let that, oops, yeah, that's the only thing. You got to press it down. And it will dry clear anyway, but not that we're going to see the inside of this pocket anyway. And then I went ahead and I took the circles and glued them down as well so that, you know, it doesn't have a plain color in there. I just did the opposites. So I think this is going to turn out really cute. Let me fix this window up a little bit. Got a little bit of glue in there. There, that looks a lot better. Okay. My circle's a little bit off, but, you know, I don't know anybody who's perfect. But I might use some of the beads that Tamara gave me, and that will hide that up. So just burnish this in. You can flatten it out some more there. And that is it for these. We are going to add a 1/2 inch thing right here. It'll actually be 1 inch by 5 1/8, or actually you can do 5 1/4 and then trim it down slightly by like a 1/16 of an inch. And then you're going to score it. So 1 inch by, 1 inch by 5 1/4, and then score it at a 1/2 inch. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So I'll do 5 1/4. I'm going to need 2 of these. So I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, and 2. And then that'll make my 2 that I need. Okay. Sorry, I need to glue this down a little bit there. And then I'm going to attach this on there as well. And you're going to want to attach it here as well, so you can seal this up, but you still have one side open to slide your photo through. You don't need both sides open, or the picture may slide right out. So now I can go ahead and add this one on here as well. I'm going to make sure I do them on the right side. I'm thinking here, let me see my page real quick. We could do it where one is here and one is here. Nah, I think I kind of like this way better. Yeah. I'm going to have them both on the left, but that's up to you. You can change it around if you want to. Wah! Oh my. Okay. And let me get out my plastic sheet. Anyway, I'm going to finish this page up and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to show you something real quick. What I want to do is I do want to glue this on the inside. So here is my page when I flip it. Okay, so I'm going to have it on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and add my glue on this little inside piece. Okay. And I'm not going to glue it on the other side because I need this to be open so that I can add it to my hinge. But I am going to make sure that this is burnished in here really well. Open it up, make sure there's not any glue coming out. Okay, then the other thing I want to do is with my second one, to avoid bulk, I basically measured where I want to attach it, and I'm going to cut this off, okay? I don't need the entire hinge on here, okay? So I'm going to just cut right along the line here as neatly as I can and trim that off, okay? And then this piece is actually going to be attached on the inside as well, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add my glue there. And this just kind of helps prevent some of that bulk because it will start to get bulky when you're adding pages on top of pages. And we will be getting magnets. We will be adding magnets on here. I don't have mine in yet. I ordered them and they are on their way. So in the meantime, I will show you where to attach your magnets. If I can get this glue from there we go. Want to make sure it's still open. Don't want it to seal down there. So you're basically going to add a magnet on your top corner and your bottom corner far enough away from each other that they won't fight. In fact, you know what? I think I may have some. I thought I did somewhere. Well, anyway, I showed you where to put them. So again, for this piece, it's going to be the same measurement as this one. And we know that is 6 1/8 by 8 1/8. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut me one of those and then I will be right back. We'll start on page 3.